Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a Tuesday night chill stream. 'Twas the day before New Comic Book Day, and all through the Critical Blast Cavern, we wondered what was going to come out tomorrow that was worth reading. And to be honest with you, I have no idea what I'm going to get tomorrow. It's become an exercise in walking in, looking at the shelves, and forcing yourself to pick something up because they saw you come in and you don't want to hear somebody say, "Hey, kid, this ain't a library anymore." But we do have some things on hand that are really good. One of them is a crowdfunding fulfillment that we've received. Another one is a 100-page DC Giant that you can get in Walmart. And one is an oldie that was mentioned a few days ago by your boy Zach and kind of pinged the little brain cell and says, "Hey, I've got that one. Let me get that out and see what we can do with it." So the first one up I want to talk about is Everglade Angels. This is the one from Scott Lobdell and Blake Northcott with art by John Upchurch. This is a very, very sturdy book, very well put together. There's nothing cheap in the production value of this one. I'm going to do some counting live on the air, so we'll see how that works out here. Because this is it's a very fast-moving book. And one of the reasons I think it moves fast is because it's about half the volume of pages is the story, and then the other half is this bonus material here. So let's see what we've got here. I'm going to actually just fortunately, it actually starts on the even numbered page, so it's going to be easier to count. As 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, 2, whoops, no. 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 2, 4, 6, 8, 40, 2, 4, 6, 8, 50. So you've got 50 pages of story in here, which is followed by, these pages are numbered, so that makes it a little bit easier. 50 pages of stories, followed by 20 pages of a sample of a screenplay for the Everglade Angels potential movie. I don't know if it's a movie project or if it was a submitted movie project. Then we have a nice little pinup in here, one of the Everglade Angels by Jay Lee. So you can get that shot in there. Very nicely done. Jay Lee is always a satisfying artist. We've got some logos in here for the baseball team. We've got some character designs, a couple pages of the sketches. Then we've got the backers in here, both the Kickstarter and the Indiegogo backers. If you were a Kickstarter backer, you will find your full name in here, or however you decided to list it. If you were a Indiegogo backer, then you will find your first name and last initial on here. So there I am over here. I did back this project, RJC. So same monograms I have on my bath towels. Then there is a 6-page preview of something called Truth Bomb, and a 1-page cover advert for Lucy Claire Redemption. And then tucked inside here is what we already saw, the pinup version, I believe. Let me double check. Yes, this is the Jay Lee colored postcard. It came with this. So let's get into the printing, because that is something that it's black bordered pages, so we know what that means. We got to look at this in the right light. Okay, I am not seeing any fluting. No highfalutin fluting, no pollutant fluting. These are stripe-free pages. So there's a plus. what else we got here? Now, here's an interesting thing. There's a tactile element to these pages. And what I mean by that is it's almost, but not quite, Braille. You can feel the panel borders with your fingers. And what's more, you can feel the text in the whiteboard balloons. If I run my finger over that, I can feel it raised up from the page. I don't know how that happens in printing. I've never seen that done before, but you can definitely feel, you can feel the white panel borders, and you can feel the black text on top of the word balloon. So you don't care about that. What's the story like? Tell us what's going on here, RJ. Well, what we have here is it's a softball team, a girls baseball team. I shouldn't say softball team. It's full-on baseball. Not there's anything wrong with softball. Just want to get the sport right, okay? It's a baseball team. And they are going to the championships, largely due to the efforts of one player. And she is the one featured on the back here. Now, interestingly enough, because she is featured on the back here, and because she was featured so prominently in the Kickstarter and the Indiegogo campaigns, boy howdy, I thought she was the star of the show, the hero of the story. She's just the best player on the team, and there's a reason why she's the best player on the team, and it has a little bit more to do with the fact that her coach is the mother. Her coach is the mother of the team. She wasn't that busy. She's a very busy woman, but her mother is the coach of the team. About the same thing. Semantic difference. They have won their way to the championship, and they're going to drive. In fact, they're going to drive themselves in a van. And the coach is A-OK cool with this. So they stop. Just like any horror movie, they get up on the wrong road. They stop at a gas station. They get directions to, hey, while you're here, there's a party going on. There's a rave at this house. They go to that house. There ain't no rave going on. There's all kinds of funky experiments going on with men in gas masks and some sort of red fluid. And to tell you any more would be to spoil the plot elements of the story. But needless to say, not everybody on the team is who they appear to be. There are some twists that you don't see coming, and then some twists that once you've seen the first twist were telegraphed a mile away, and you just can't help but know they're coming. It's a very fast story. It's kind of got one of those endings where, hey, it's over, but guess what? No, it's far from being over. It's just over for us. So it's definitely worth the price of admission. I'm satisfied and happy that I backed this one. If you didn't back this one, I think you probably missed out. This copy, of course, is autographed by Miss Northcott, and that's that's a prize in and of itself. So if you ever find your hands on this, you're going to have to hit eBay now or see if they've got an in-demand store going on. It's good. It's got some great artwork in it, I thought. The artwork is a lot softer than what you see on the back cover here. It's a lot closer to what you see on the front cover. The front cover is more representative of the interior art. Let me see if I can find a non-spoilery page here. There's a lot of spoilery pages here. Oh, I almost showed that one, which is not spoilery, but the language on it is batter up, mother. Yeah. Yippee, no yippee-ki-yay in front of it. So you know what that was. So, okay, mature title, I guess, just because of that. Here's a nice page. I like this one. It's going to appeal to, it has a genderless appeal to it, which is to say it will go both ways. Boy, I can't win for losing tonight. Everyone's going to like this book, okay? And this is the only boob gate in the whole thing. So don't get your hopes up, guys, if that's what you're going in there for. This scene does not appear anywhere in the book. This scene appears on the book, okay? So Everglade Angels. Cover design made to look like the front of a VHS tape of slasher horror film. Very much slasher horror filming thinging going on in here. And you should have got it. Moving on. I almost said continuing, but that's not my thing. From Beyond the Unknown, DC Comics, 100-page for the grand total of, where's that price sticker at on here? I know it's cheap. $4.99, which is a steal for what you're getting in this book. And I've read some of them that just have been kind of lackluster or, that didn't really grab me. This one did, because this one starts off with a Green Lantern story by a writer I'm not familiar with, Dave, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to screw this up. Dave Wielgosz, Wielgosz. So we'll go with that. And the art by Kenneth Rocafort. It's called In Gloom, and this is the Green Lantern story. Okay, for those who are unfamiliar with Green Lantern or think you're familiar with Green Lantern but aren't really, the Green Lantern Corps is space cops. If you're in the Green Lantern Corps, you are a space cop. You are one of many space cops. 3,600, I believe, but seeing as how there's more than one in this sector, I'm going to have to say there's like 3,605 at the best guess. Hal Jordan is, of course, the Green Lantern of Earth. We exist in Space Sector 2814. He is, at one point in the story, they say he's the Green Lantern who's assigned to this sector, and then he says he's Green Lantern 2814.1, which is, of course, indicative of the fact that he's not the only one in the sector, because there's John Stewart and there's Guy Gardner. Anybody remember Charlie? He was a Green Lantern for a while there, got sent off. But point is, this story recognizes the fact that he is the Green Lantern for an entire space sector of the universe. The Guardians of the Universe have pie cut the entire sphere of the universe, the known universe, into 3,600 quadrants. I have no idea how big Sector 2814 is. I don't know if it's like half our galaxy. I don't know if it's our galaxy plus 300 other galaxies. How big is, the universe, and what's the 1/3,600th of it? It's big. It's mind-bogglingly big. And Hal Jordan is being taken to task in this story by the Guardians because they're like, you're the guy for the whole sector, right? And he's like, yeah, I know. I'm 2814. He's like, why are you on Earth all the time? He's like, well, there's plenty of threats here. There's threats all the time. I mean, there's stuff going down here. They're like, there's stuff going down in other places. You need to be monitoring the entire space sector. Well, what he finds out is that there's a threat coming to Earth, and he's being chased by this outfit called the Gloom. The Gloom decided that, because this guy destroyed their planet, they're going to hunt him down. They're going to hunt him down because they were failed by the Green Lantern Corps. This guy destroyed 3 planets in Space Sector 2814, and Hal Jordan was nowhere to be seen. He was not doing his job. And so, as a consequence, there's this new group that has formed up. And, they've got technology now that gets around the energy of the Green Lantern ring. So he's got his work cut out for him until he figures out how to assess that and overcome it. And what I like is that at the end of the story, he's called onto a Justice League mission because he's a member of the Justice League too. He's a busy guy, and he's going to have to time manage. And they're like, hey, there's this threat going on down here. Are you available to assist? He says, no, I can't. I need to be on patrol. So Hal Jordan is going to have to start, taking his Green Lantern precinct, his beat more seriously. Basically, it's like he's the beat cop for 3.5 blocks, and he never leaves the Arby's. on the corner. And he's like, there's plenty going on at this Arby's. It's held up every other hour, so I've got to be here. And meanwhile, the Starbucks across the street is also being held up, and somebody's vandalizing the McDonald's 2 blocks down, and he's doing nothing. So he's got to cover the whole beat. And that's been done before, but it was ages ago. And it kicked off an excellent story arc where it was Hal Jordan in space for most of the time. Awesome story. So, yeah, excellent work here from Dave and Kenneth. That alone, I'd have paid $4.99 for that story right there. This is followed up by a story called The Butler by Tom Snigoski and Eric Gapster. This is a Commandy story. Commandy, the last boy on Earth. It's interesting art. It's good art. Yeah, I'll just show a piece of it here. So it's decent Commandy art. He's got the little hood covering on there going, and he's it reminds me a lot of a story that we read in high school about a robotic house that was still running all the functions of putting out the food and feeding the cat and throwing everything away. But there was nobody home anymore because everyone had been killed in nuclear explosions and the house was just on autopilot. That's what this is. There's a robot butler who is waiting for his masters to come home, and they're going to have some sort of a celebration. Commandy knows that the masters of the house are outside in this SUV-like device. They've been wasted away to skeletons. They've been gone a long time. They died in the Great Disaster. Meanwhile, there's some anthropomorphic rats running around. They want to kill Commandy. They get into the house. The butler helps defend him, but the butler is mortally wounded. He's a robot, but he's got feelings. So Commandy decides that, hey, you're trying to. He's upset that he's not fulfilling his final mission for his masters, which was to have the dinner set for them. So Commandy goes to the vehicle and hauls all their carcasses into the house and sets them up at the table. And, the desiccated food on these fine china plates is sitting there. And the butler proposes a toast, and Commandy's like, yay, every happily ever after. Then, writing-wise, okay. Art-wise, always fantastic. This is a Legion of Superheroes story, new story called Stealth Mode from Dan Jurgens. And Dan Jurgens does the art with Norm Rapmund. And what we have here is the Legionnaires are looking for Sunboy and Wildfire, who have gone missing on a planet. And it's on this planet where the sun is getting ready to die. So you can already figure out Sunboy on a planet with no sun. I can figure out this ulterior motive already. And sure enough, that's what it is. They've got Sunboy and Wildfire in these tubes, and they're siphoning off their energy because they're keeping the planet warm, which makes them awful damn powerful for Legionnaires. The two of them can keep a planet warm. Dang, I hadn't thought of that. That's huge. Anyway, they've got to get onto the planet. Dawnstar is leading the charge. They're like, oh, yeah, but you're alone. Well, she's not alone, and she's got with her, and I love this team. I've always loved this team. The Legion Espionage Squad is traveled with her, and you can't even see them until she announces that they're there. So you've got, Phantom Girl, Shrinking Violet, Chameleon Boy, and Invisible Kid. They're all there with Dawnstar, the tracker. This art is gorgeous. Dan, thank you so much, Dan. I love this era of the Legion as well. You can always tell the different Legion eras by their costuming, and God, this is. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. They get in there and they're ready to rescue their friends, and Sunboy and Wildfire stop them. This is very 60s kind of storytelling now. It's like, no, you can't rescue us. You don't understand. Well, they want the Legionnaires to hear out why they're in the tubes, and it's because the planet's dying. And this planet has not joined the United Planets. because they were very standoffish. They were like, we're going to take care of ourselves, and we take what we need to live. But that's just some of their leaders. Others are like, hey, we kind of want to live, and we'll take help if it helps. So Brainiac is telling you, maybe you might want to consider joining the United Planets if you want to live, which kind of, I don't know, it's a bit of a pressure. I mean, we help out other countries that aren't part of the United Nations because of humanitarian efforts. So Brainy's offer there is a tad bit on the side of, nice planet you got here. It's a shame if something would happen to it. And it's not quite like that, but it's got shades of that to it. And also the whole business of, okay, well, yeah, we're going to let you guys off the hook for kidnapping our friends simply because your planet, you were trying to keep your planet warm. I liked it. I still liked it. I'm picking it apart because that's my job. I have to do that kind of thing. But overall, I liked it. I would love to see some more Dan Jurgens' Legion of Superheroes, hint, hint. And yeah, this Legion of Superheroes, that's my Legion of Superheroes. That's my truth, my true Legion. Then we start getting into the reprints here. And I'll just kind of gloss over these because these are way old back issues and you can get them read them on your own. This here is an issue of DC Comics Presents. This teams up Superman and Adam Strange in the Riddle of Little Earth Lost. This is from David Michelini with art by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, which is long for God. If you are someone who's a fan of DC Comics artwork, and I am, it's gorgeous stuff. It's Superman returning home to the solar system. Only the third planet from the sun is an Earth. Where did Earth go? He's landed on Rand. How did Rand get there? And Adam Strange is on Earth, and he's like, "Wait, I'm on Earth. Where did Rand go?" They're overlapping in the interdimensional whatchamajiggers, and it's just because something is like a couple of feet too close to something else. So it's going to end up with Superman has to push the planet a couple of feet. Now you can't push it miles because that will screw up orbits and be bad for everything. But yeah, he can definitely push the planet a few feet. And now we don't quite get the. I shouldn't see the curvature of the Earth when he's pushing the planet. It should basically look like Superman is standing on his head. What are you doing, Superman? You're standing on your head. It's like, I'm pushing the planet, but look at that exertion. That's some serious consternation there. Push that turd out. I mean, he's working it. So excellent stuff, fun stuff. This next story, I don't know why it was in From Beyond the Unknown. It is not a space story. It's not a weirdness story. It is it's definitely a funky story. It is a issue of Brave and the Bold from, God, I'm sure the year is in here somewhere. It's Batman and the Metal Men. And it's basically, it's Bob Haney and Jim Apparel. And the new mayor has taken office, and he's like, and I got some changes to put into effect. And one of those changes is he retires Commissioner Gordon because Commissioner Gordon's too old. And then he retires Batman. And then I had to remember that, oh yeah, this was back in the day when Batman was a deputized member of the police department so that he could get away with doing what he was doing because he worked with them so much. So he was officially there. So he's like, we retire you. And Batman's like, you're joking. I'm not old like Gordon. Thanks. Thanks, Batman. You just called me old. I'm still in my prime. And the mayor's like, sooner or later, your luck will run out and you'll catch a fatal bullet. Gotham City would never forgive itself if that happened. Better you quit at the height of your fame. And he literally pushes Batman out of the office. This is a normal guy just pushing Batman. And Batman's like, whoa, what you just pushed me, man. And he's going to be replaced with the Metal Men, my old comrades. You could almost read this one in an Adam West voice. That's like, greetings, Batman. And of course, it goes on until there's a crime that Batman has to be called in on, and the new police commissioner, he's got no idea what to do. And Commissioner Gordon's in the crowd, thankfully, up next against the police line, just observing like everyone else does when there's a big crime going on, just staring up the skyscraper. And the mayor's like, Commissioner Gordon, keep the title when you retire, apparently. Says, do you have any suggestions about what we should do? He's like, I sure do. And the next thing you see, bat signal up in the sky. Call the Batman. So Batman did not retire. Could not be forced into retirement. Finally, we are back in space, and we're going to wrap up with the Green Lantern Corps again. And this one I remember reading when it originally came out. This was and still is one of my favorite Green Lantern stories. From Alan Moore with pencils by Bill Willingham. It's called In Blackest Night, and it's starring Green Lantern Katma Tui, who has been assigned by the Guardians to find a protector for the lightless void known as the Obsidian Deeps. So apparently it's something like the outer fringes of somewhere, something. Like there's no light. This is, there's no suns. It's just these rock planets, but there's life out there. It needs a protector. Go find this one. Go recruit. So she's coming back. And they're like, have you found a Green Lantern? She's like, well, I presented a protector, but I did not get a Green Lantern. And the reason she didn't get a Green Lantern was because the life forms out there that she spoke with, there's no light. So they haven't evolved eyes because there's nothing to see. And without anything to see, they have no concept of the words like green and lantern and shine and light. So she's working things out with him, and she's like, this is the problem. How do I get this to work out? And she figures out that he can, the ring can't even translate the words. I mean, she tries to go through the oath. She's like, in blank, 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 in blank, 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 no evil shall escape my blank. He's like, I'm not getting any of this. There's just no word in your language for it. But there is sound. So she converts the ring into a bell. And she tells him it's a bell. She says, now what sound is pleasing to you? And he's like, oh, I like F sharp. Okay, it's an F sharp bell. And there's a charger for it here. And she gives it to him, and he basically says, you can create sound waves that will make anything you want. And she's like, now you have to have an oath. You have to swear the oath. And she's like, how are you going to swear the oath if you can't know the words? And they work it out. He's like, so the new oath becomes, in loudest din or hush profound, my ears catch evil's slightest sound. Let those who toll out evil's knell beware my power, the F sharp bell. And she fashions a new costume for him. It's a Green Lantern costume, but it's got a bell in the centerpiece there. And she tells the Guardians, that so he's waiting your approval. He's not sure if he qualifies for a Green Lantern, but he is a protector and he's out there. But he's never heard of us, can't even hear of us, even though he knows who we are because the words don't work in his head. He said he'd appreciate an early decision from you concerning his status, to which the Guardian's response says, thank you, Katma. We will try not to keep him in the dark too long. And then in typical Alan Moore fashion, Katma Tui is now suntanning in one of the rec rooms a few hours later and realizes that for the first time in many years of service, this is the first time she had heard a Guardian make a joke. And she felt vaguely uneasy for the rest of the day. Excellent story. Definitely one that stuck with me the first time I read it. So glad I've got it in another form now. So $4.95. At least 3 great stories and 2 classic, somewhat kind of goofy ones. You cannot go wrong with that. And then finally, this is one that I've had for a long time. And I dug it out because your boy Zach mentioned it in one of his videos, in passing, mind you. And I don't even remember what made him bring it up. But Marvel and DC present The Uncanny X-Men and the New Teen Titans. Now, this was back in the day when the Uncanny X-Men were at the top of Marvel comicdom. In fact, they were probably at the top of all of comics. And the new Teen Titans were at the height of their game. If there was a number 1 and a number 2 slot in comic book sales at that time, for each company, it belonged to the Uncanny X-Men and the new Teen Titans. So having this team up happen, I can't even come up with a modern day analogy for what this would be like to have happen. It'd be no, I can't. You just have to pick the 2 greatest people in the world you can ever think of and have them work a project together, and that's what you got here. Now, this was written by Chris Claremont, who wrote the X-Men well, didn't quite have the same feel for the Titans that Marv Wolfman did, but passable. And it was drawn by Walter Simonson and Terry Austin. So the artwork is impeccable, as you would expect. This is a story involving Darkseid. He's got a plan for destroying the Earth, which is what Darkseid does. He tries to destroy the Earth. That's his thing. And he's going to do it by resurrecting the Phoenix. So he's plumbing the memories of the X-Men, and he's getting the essence of Phoenix from each of them, her memories, and they're waking up with nightmares. They don't know why. But all the way across town in Titan's Tower, Raven is also having nightmares of the Phoenix. And she wakes up screaming. Starfire goes in to see what's going on, say, are you okay? You had a nightmare. And Raven's like, sometimes I have nightmares and they come true. She's explaining what happened in the nightmare to her raven-shaped soul self when it was attacked by, the great flaming bird. When, Beast Boy, Changeling, it was called Changeling back then. Changeling walks in and says, hey, it sounds cool. Tell me more about the bird. I'll help her visualize it. And he starts to transform into the Phoenix, which triggers Starfire into a rage. She flies into Garfield and grabs him by the throat and nearly kills him because she knows the story of the Phoenix. They were preparing for the Phoenix to arrive in her star sector before Phoenix was finally put down. It was killed. So she knows that this earth-shattering, universe-ending force is not something to be trifled with. Darkseid has some earthly agent assistant going on here. Not with one of the X-villains, which I would have expected. So we don't get... The only X-Men villain you're going to get in here is, of course, Dark Phoenix. It's not really balanced that way. But you do get a lot of Slade Wilson. Slade Wilson is working on Darkseid's behalf with one of Darkseid's agents. And it's interesting because this is still in the early days of Deathstroke. So he doesn't get called Deathstroke that often, or even Wilson. He gets called by his original name, the Terminator. No less than 3 times he's referred to as the Terminator in this story. So, I'm sure the movie companies probably came in there and said, yeah, no, you can't do that. So that's where that went. Eventually they're going to fight each other because the Titans have tracked down, this Phoenix entity to being one of the X-Men, and the X-Men have recently knocked down some skyscraper in a fight. And gosh, how come we've never crossed paths with them before? Because they sound like some really bad dudes. The usual trope, meet, fight, figure out that we're on the same side, go up against Darkseid. Darkseid battles them to a standstill and then summons... Who summons Dark Phoenix? I don't think she ever called herself Dark Phoenix. I think she's called herself Phoenix all the time. But who did? Hi, Darkseid. Dark Phoenix, Darkseid. Yeah, if I was writing this story, I'd have done that too. They join hands and they are prepared to knock down Earth and do their thing. So, under the circumstances, it means that the teams are going to have to shake hands, make nice, and do the superhero team up thing. And there's not much parallel to it going on. You don't have Whizzer opposite Kid Flash, so you don't have duplication of powers. Kitty Pryde is still like 14 or something. She's hunkering behind Colossus, looking over. She's like, "Gee, that green guy looks about my age. He's kind of cute too." And of course, Jane's like, superstar television star, who's apparently not recognized by her other than that green guy. And then Raven is, reading everybody's interiors. She's like, there is in Storm an inner serenity, a beauty and nobility of the spirit that reminds me of Azar. Yet her companion, Wolverine, possesses a capacity for violence greater even than Coriander's. Around him I must forever be on my guard, lest his inner fury strike me down. And Wolverine's just sitting with his arms crossed and saying, I spooked the bird lady. I wonder why. But you're never going to find out because we don't delve into that part of the story. They do what they do, and they've got Metron's chair, which shows up when they get abandoned on the moon. And they're like, well, great, this is a chair. What do we do with it? And while they're sitting around debating how it works, Kitty's sitting in the chair, Changeling's sitting on the arm of it, and Kitty's like, yeah, I hate this. I wish I was home. Poof, they disappear. And then poof, they're back. And she's like, oh, I think I figured out how this thing works. And Professor X is like, oh, yeah, it's telepathically powered because, I'm a telepath. That would make sense. But how to fit them all on that chair? Well, Kitty whispers a little bit into Changeling's ear, and voila, he changes into a giant, familiar-looking dragon, which will hold the chair in his talons, and then everybody else can ride the dragon while he rides the chair. It is, of course, Lockheed the dragon. Before there was a real Lockheed. And, of course, Piotr is looking on at this. Now, he's the jealous one. He's like, Kitty had Changeling transform into Lockheed the dragon. I thought that was our special character, our secret. She seems very attracted to Changeling. I did not think that would upset me so. And then he speaks out loud. He says, Pyotr Nikolaevich, you're acting like a fool. In Russian, in front of Starfire, who has a superpower that we see in the first issue of New Teen Titans that she hasn't used a whole lot, which is that she can absorb language from a person through skin contact. And she likes to do that with kissing. So she just kind of throws her arms around and says, oh, good, a new language I can learn. He's like, consent, Corey, consent. You didn't get, you just literally lip raped Colossus here. That's not good. You can't do those kind of things. Of course, Nightcrawler, sexist little horn dog man that he is like, Fräulein, sprechen Sie Deutsch. We don't see that kiss happen, presumably because she did speak German. Move on. Big fight scene. They get through to Dark Phoenix to realize that, hey, you're dying because you're not really Dark Phoenix. You're a memory of her, and you're not going to stick around. And whose fault is all that? Oh, it's Darkseid's fault. So she unleashes everything at Darkseid. He's gone. She carries him off, and this huge explosion in the sky. And they're like, well, I guess that's all over with. Let's go get a beer. Meanwhile, the leaders of the teams are like looking at the stars and getting all philosophical. And you have an epilogue where Metron is back in his Mobius chair. He's got it back. It went back to him. And in this universe, Darkseid became one with the Source Wall for trying to breach it. He became one with it, and that's the end of Darkseid. And that's also the end of that story. That was a huge. It was a very thick story. It was not as quickly paced as some of the later DC Marvel offerings that came out. Effort was put into it, let's say, okay, because you didn't have to say one person was going to beat the other person in a fight. It was, we're going to fight, we're both going to lose, and then we'll pull together and all be heroes. So great team up, collaboration, what have you. If you get the time to swing by criticalblast.com, we're going to be putting up some giveaways this week. So we have some Sonic goodie baskets here, in which we will include these Sonic posters featuring Sonic running forward, Sonic the Hedgehog, which is overperforming in theaters this week. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Also in our little prize pack of Sonic goodies is a little tub of blue goo, sparkly goo. I've already opened one of these. It's not slime. It's more like foam. So it's blue glitter foam. You can shape it and mold it. It doesn't drip out of your hand. It kind of stays together. It's very, very fun stuff to play with. And then we will also have Sonic balls. They say Sonic on them. And when you toss them, they light up and sparkle. Aren't they pretty? They'd have really been thinking about it. They'd have made these in rings, gold, gel-filled, glitter-light rings where you'd say, throw the ring, and it would light up, and then you could say, I'm going to throw it and run through it now. But you know what? I'll have fun throwing this at things and making it hit. We're going to give away 3 of these. We'll have 3 sets to go, and the first one will have an extra special prize in it, which will be this Sonic toque. It's a sock hat. Okay, so you people in Canada can call it what you want. It's a sock hat. It's a nice little stretchy material. It's got the Sonic logo embroidered into the front here. So that will be part of our grand prize, and we'll have those up very shortly, probably sometime tonight, if not tomorrow. So keep watching the Twitter feed at criticalblast.com for information on that. And then also we will have a separate run of giveaways that we'll be doing. And I'm not sure how many of these we will be giving away, but we will be giving away full-size theater posters of Onward. Now, if I show you this picture of Onward and you look at it and you say, hey, RJ, I don't want that poster. It's printed backwards. I don't want a misprinted poster. Well, guess what? It's only printed backwards on the back side. It's printed frontwards on the front side. See? That's fine. Now, you might ask yourself, that's stupid. Why would I want a poster? I mean, I'll display it frontwards out, but why did they waste the time to put something backwards on the back side? I'll put it in the window and I'll see it backwards, and that's not any better than seeing a plain white square in the window if I did it that way. Au contraire. The reason this is done is because if it was a plain white square and you put it in a light box like the theaters are wont to do when you pass by all the posters in your local theater and you see them all lit up, the white background would wash out the colors on the front. But by printing it in the reverse on the opposite side, exactly matching in all the places, you get color pop. And that's why those colors just jump right out at you when you see these posters in the theater, because they're printed in reverse on the back side. So now, you learned something today. And for those of you who already knew it, shut up. Let people think they figured something out. Let me think I helped people today, okay? So we'll be giving away some of those. I'll probably be giving away more Sonic posters because I asked for a couple of posters. I get a book of posters. So now these are the smaller ones, obviously, but that just means, yay for RJ. They're easier to mail and cheaper. So be watching for that. Thank you all for coming by. Obligatory, if you like this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a minute of our Critical Blast podcast. Also, if you'd like to help the channel out, please swing by criticalblast.com. Just a few visits every week will help us out very much. Yes, that's because of ad traffic. We don't have pop-ups, but we do have display ads, and if you see them, that's just as good as if, that's good. That's good. Come for the content, though. We do keep the place regularly refreshed with new content, new ideas. We would love to hear your thoughts, and we'd love to hear what you want to see on there. Finally, if you would like to help us out by seeing our merchandise, please click the links for our TeePublic store, which will take you to some interesting exclusive designs that we have in our store, as well as designs that we have shared from other creators. And you can also go to Amazon.com and purchase our urban fantasy anthology, Gods and Surfaces, or our first YA hardcover superhero novel, Bulletproof by Stephen J. Mitchell. Thank you again for coming by. We always appreciate you. Let us know in the comments what you think.